Take a look up at the sky and outside. Why? Might as well. Might as well. Might as well. Might as well.
Hey y'all, it's Trey, and this is my brother Colin.
What's up? This is the Epiphany Show.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on. Per usual, we got our few announcements that we want to get into. First, actually, before I get into these ones, we just want to say thank you to Gavin if you're watching this. Thank you for just the great words you just gave us last week and everybody. So yeah, we just wanted to publicly say thank you on the podcast.
We love you.
Yeah, we do.
We do. Genuinely, yeah.
Second, we have a TikTok. I don't know if I've even announced it yet, but we do have a TikTok. So go follow the TikTok at the.epiphany.show. Sorry, there's some clanging going on upstairs, but we are also taking guest applications. So if you want to be a guest, we've talked about this a few times, but yeah, we invite anyone and everyone on here. We want to have just all types of views, and everything. So yeah, if you think you have something to say, just reach out to one of us and we'd love to talk about having you on. We did hit 150 subscribers, so thank you guys for that.
Mm-hmm.
And just last, hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. We're sorry we didn't drop last week, but we're back on the grind now.
Yeah.
Also we have a guest next week. I'll also leave that for next week too.
His name rhymes with ice.
Yes. So yeah, that's what we got going on over here. Yeah, today we don't really have any specific topics. The more we've talked, the more we realize we kind of do good when we freestyle a little bit. We have some things written down, but yeah, so we're just gonna get into it and just talk about life, talk about everything.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to start with?
Well, I wanted to say, just like going back to a few weeks ago, me and him both had come out, just open about like our struggles with purity. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to say the battle is going really good on my side. I was wondering how you were doing.
Dang, bro, I've had my struggles. I'm not going to lie, but the past week I would say has been going really well. It's an up and down battle. This is maybe getting a little personal, but I really struggle. I go through like binge purge cycles. Mm-hmm. So like I'll do really good for like a good few weeks, sometimes even up to a month. You know what I mean? And then I'll binge.
It did kind of go. Sorry, I don't know why. It just came to my head.
It's all right. It's good to talk about it. But then I like binge, so but what I have been realizing is that I'm not defined by my relapses. I'm not defined as, a sex addict or whatever you want to call it. I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I've really focused on this past week, especially. We had a chapel just on identity and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think one thing sorry, I just saw your happy apple over. Anyway, I just realizing that, I'm a child of God. I don't want to be defined by the things that I do and things I struggle with. So yeah, and it's been going better, but ups and downs.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, we went right into it today.
Yeah.
Let's kind of just go off of that a little bit. Let's talk about identity. Did we do one on identity? I think we kind of did. Oh, we did one on loving yourself.
Yeah, I guess that goes hand in hand.
Yeah, but I guess, just specifically identity. I want to talk about, or just maybe ask the question, like, where do you guys find your identity? Like, I was talking to a friend yesterday, just about, we were just talking through depression and struggling with all those kinds of things, mental health. And she told me that she put her identity a lot in her job. And as you know, I'm in an internship right now. So like, it's a temporary job. So she's like, this job is ending. So like my identity's like, I'm still trying to figure myself out. Mm-hmm. And like I told Gavin in the last or 2 podcasts ago, I think it was, that first and foremost, you are a child of God. As I was saying before, you have to remember that. If you're a Christian, I mean, we're all made in the image of God, but if you're a Christian and you accepted, him into your heart, you are a child of God. You have been adopted into his family. That is your first and foremost identity. But second, something we were talking about was art. And I wanted to ask you, for me, what I realized is you can really put your identity in art. I want to be careful how I word this. Not completely, like I said, first and foremost, a child of God, but what I realized for me is art is a really cool way for me to have what I stand for, what I do, live on.
Yep.
And, that is my identity because I've done it and it stays there. It's not something that's like going to be, I mean, obviously I can delete it, but you know what I mean?
Erased. There's always going to be a footprint.
Yeah. What I realized is actually helped me a lot in my identity because I have my art that's just mine and it will always represent me.
Yeah.
How would you say that kind of impacts you maybe, or just like in terms of music, and how that has shaped your identity?
Well, I think I'm coming to realize that like it talks about this, I think it's Ephesians. It talks about like the body of Christ and how there's different members and different talents given. And I don't think in like names like artistic talent, but it's definitely a talent and I think it can be used.
For sure.
How it's used is different among everybody, I suppose, but it can be helpful for building up each other. Everyone loves music. So yeah, I think I definitely, that is a big part of my identity, but sometimes I worry or I think I'm a little less worried now, but there have been times where like I really couldn't imagine like if I didn't have it, like I'd really stuck behind like a desk all day, like right? I couldn't picture 50 years of that. And I still really can't, but I think it's just so real to me that like there's just not a doubt in my mind that won't be the case for my life. But at the same time, I need to be open to the fact that like if God did want me to do something else with my life, it's for my good. Yeah. Right. And I think I'm coming to terms with that, of not like feeling like I have to force it so much.
Definitely.
And just like go with the flow.
Do you think go with the flow? That's good. Do you think people can put their identity too much in art?
Oh, for sure. You can put your identity in anything. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of what image is. Yeah. And I think some people create a false image for sure. I think 90% of people, I'd say like mainstream, like they have people who literally create an image and create an identity around an artist because like people don't really care about you unless you have some sort of aesthetic or you have some sort of fashion that can be tracked back to you. No, he's the first person that started wearing this. Yeah. No, he's the first person, and it's like, that's their identity now. And I think a lot of people get lost in that. They get stuck in that. And it's ultimately to their own detriment. And that's what I don't want. Yeah.
Going off of that, do you think that we're going to speak kind of apart from just, being our identity in Christ, right? Maybe speak more like on the world. Do you think that can be, because I think about like, Uzi talks about this as being like so much of yourself, and just like, everyone talks about like being yourself and like just the people who are really themselves, are really, you can just tell it's more authentic, right? Do you think having an identity in that and like you said, creating this aesthetic, but it's so much of yourself that it's like, you think it can be a good thing as well though?
I think, but I also think that people can try so hard to be themselves that like either they're just so self-involved that they're selfish or they try to be themselves so bad that they're not themselves. I don't know if that makes any sense, definitely. But like some people try so hard and like if you're trying super hard, then you're probably not that.
Yourself, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it goes both ways.
Yeah. I don't know. I just keep thinking like, there's definitely, everything in moderation is good. You can't try to do things too much. That's kind of when it becomes toxic, especially if we're talking biblically, like idols and all that. But I also do think that in maybe more of a secular, just arena, it's good to, I hear what you're saying on being too much of yourself, but I'm saying it like if it's a healthy level of knowing who you are and being yourself, I think it's actually one of the best things you can do as well.
For sure. Yeah. I think like you should be yourself. Like, I think even like there's certain people that you can be around, like let's say you're working on like you don't cuss, but then you get around a certain friend group and you find it easier to cuss, right? Like, is that are you being yourself then? Because like yourself is like your true desires. So like if you were just completely yourself, then you'd be like, well, I really want to have sex, so I'm just going to have sex. Right. So I think being yourself a lot of times can just lead to being sinful.
100%.
So that's what I'm getting to is like the core of yourself is sin. So like, and God calls us to be like him.
Yeah. But I guess what I was thinking more is outside of that, like in the secular world, I think, like, yes, it is sinful ourselves, but like I think it can be good because, I think losing yourself, if you're already in a secular, in the secular world, you don't follow Jesus. I think losing yourself can be so much worse though, and I think that, because you can still be I get what you're saying, like you get around people, but you can still be yourself and like, okay, I know that I don't want to do like drugs, right? Yeah. Say something like that. And you stick to that. But if you lose yourself, I think that's when you do it. So I think there's a fine line between like maybe not knowing yourself and when you get around people and all that, but then just like completely losing yourself, I guess. But yeah, I do like what you're saying 100%. If you are a follower of Christ and you do know those things, we are called to a higher standard. Yes. We are called to say no to ourselves and to, what is it? Take up your cross every single day. So I do get what you're saying.
But in the secular realm, be yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about being around people and feeling this need to change. Yeah. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's, I notice it sometimes too, but I think it's influence. That's what influence is. And I think that's why people are put on a pedestal, is because they have great influence. And I think it's very easy like to be influenced. Now, there might be some things that you find it a lot harder to be influenced by. Like, I don't know if I'd ever say that I was peer pressured into drugs. I said no for a long time because I didn't want to do it. But then when I wanted to do it, I did it. But yeah, I think influence is definitely a real thing. And whether you want to say that gets into the spiritual realm or if that's just really your true desire. Yeah. I think it plays on both.
Yeah, I think, for me, because I've always struggled with identity issues, at least back in high school for sure. And I think it was like, there's this weird, like, I don't want to say stigma. There's this weird, like, just when you grow up, you feel that like, obviously everyone has the need to like fit in. Like that's human nature at the end of the day. But it's like, if I do this, they will like me. You know what I mean? And it's so weird to think that like you want to be liked because of something that you do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not who you are. And obviously, when you're younger, a lot of times that's not even a thought that you can have. Yeah. But I think looking back on it, it's just so interesting to me that like we put all this emphasis and just like, what's the word I'm thinking of? All this energy into trying to like do these things so that people like us. And then they like you. Maybe you get there or maybe they don't, whatever. But like, all you did was like do things. You didn't even become like a person. You know what I mean? You like going back to losing yourself. You lost yourself maybe. Yeah. And I'm speaking out of experience because I definitely fell into that and lost myself for a very long time. For sure. I think it's just, I guess I'm just looking back and realizing just how weird it is just to like that our human brains think because I do this, I will be liked. And you thinking, I don't know.
We all strive for like relationship, and I think that's where it stems from. Is like we want to feel like loved or like you said. And so like if the choices we make are gonna lead us to that like end of like being liked, then we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We live in a broken world, so it's like what we think being loved is flawed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say.
It's not
like,
real.
Like, yeah, you're looking for love, but you're looking for it in the wrong places, and you're doing it like
For the wrong
you're not
reason.
actually being loved by doing what you're trying to be loved for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then are you being loved for you? So that goes back to the, are you really being yourself? Like,
Exactly.
And like the cliche statement is to be like, yeah, don't change yourself for anybody, right? But like it's easier said than done.
Yeah. They're switching gears a little bit. You know what I realized? I remember this was in like boarding school, I think. I realized that, people always tell you to be yourself, right? Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. But you can't do that until you know yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's not talked about enough, because like you can be told to be yourself all you want, but if you don't know who you are, then who are you being? You know what I mean? Yeah. And that was something I had to realize, that like in order to be yourself, you have to find yourself first. And I think that is something I would just anybody who's struggling with identity and knowing who you are, find yourself. And just to bring it all in, how do you find yourself? Through the gospel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'll get into that, but like, like I was saying, we were made in the image of God. I said this a few podcasts ago, but we're made in the image of God. So you are in his likeness, and when you realize that as your identity, it changes everything. And that finding yourself becomes so much easier, because first and foremost, that's the foundation, right? Everything else is on top of that. So like music, photography, whatever else, whatever other indicators of who I am comes under that. And I think that it helps so much when you're trying to find yourself. So yeah, I guess I would just say, pursue the gospel if you're struggling. Yeah. Should we shift gears a little bit, or you got anything else?
Not on that topic. Mm-mm.
Cool. This kind of relates. We were talking about this briefly before we got on. The no choice is a choice. I have a specific experience relating to this, but before I get into that, do you have anything you want to start with?
Well, my first thought when he said that was like politics, like, I don't know, not voting. It's kind of like choosing no sides, I guess. And some people get really mad at that, and some people don't care. I'm kind of on the side of like, they just give you two bad options and you just kind of got to pick your poison. So I don't necessarily put any faith in politics, but yeah, so I would say I'm definitely making a choice there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I guess this is all kind of relating to identity, but so I do therapy and all that kind of stuff. And in one of my past sessions, we were just talking about a specific moment, which turned into moments. But when I realized like that I'm struggle with addiction, and I remember in that moment, we were processing it. We do EMDR processing, if you know what that is. But what I realized was the first time I ever got high. I remember I actually greened out, which was kind of funny. But like in that, I was, because it's different for a lot of people, but for me, I like passed out but I was still like conscious. And I remember we were talking about like there was this internal struggle of do I face the fear of what I'm doing and get up and I'm like, I remember I was so high and like I was so scared, but like I was also high, so it was like euphoric, you know what I mean? So I had a choice right there of like, do I embrace the fear or embrace the euphoria of it? And I remember this is kind of like getting a little out there, but I in that moment I chose the euphoria, I will say. But what I realized is everything else in my addiction was this choice of, do I go this way? Do I go this way? Do I go this way? Do I do this or this? And what I realized is I always had this like internal struggle, because like I said before, I believe that I was saved at a young age. So I had the Holy Spirit. So I know now that what that internal struggle was, but I always had this like right and wrong internal struggle. And what I realized is I always avoided it. And through avoiding that, I continued in my addiction. So what I was doing, I was not making a choice, but I was making a choice. You know what I mean? And it was crazy just to conceptualize all of this, that like, I always put so much, like I always thought I was so cool because I didn't care about anything, and I was so nonchalant. And like, I remember that was like my personality. And then I realized that like, no, intentionality is actually the best thing you can, the best way you can act. Be intentional in everything. And it's just like, that was that not care, aloof, kind of nonchalant attitude that I have towards life, was that not making a choice in everything. And through that, it destroyed my life. And so yeah, I just think that like, why I just wanted to speak to that is like, I mean, yeah, you can speak on politics, you can speak on addiction, you can speak on faith, you can speak literally anything. It relates to anything. You need to be firm. What's the verse? Let your yeses be yes and your no's be no's. You know what I mean? Like, it even says that. So it's like in the Bible. So it's like just realizing that through everything, make a choice, I would say, and be firm in that choice, even if it's the wrong choice. I have so, I would even say I have so much more respect for someone who's so confident in the wrong choice than someone who just doesn't make a choice at all. So yeah, I don't know. That's a little tangent I wanted to go off on in terms of that. But
that's good.
You have any thoughts relating to that?
I mean, I get the spiritual battle thing. I think I was there for a long time of just like, when are you going to stop? You know, like what's going to have to happen? And to me, it was like, well, I just really couldn't envision like a life without. So I was just making the choice to keep going. That's it. Like I didn't ever think that like my friends wouldn't ever be around. I just could not see that. And like, no, these are my brothers forever, you know? And I had to make a choice to like be separate, and that happened. And yeah, God pulled me from that, but there was that internal struggle for a long time.
How did you work through that? Like, what did that look like for you?
I didn't, and God had to make a choice for me.
That was that no choice there. For real.
So I relate to that, really. And I think ultimately, like, God can step in, and he does. Yeah. He does. And you may not like it. So I think that's why he gives you that. But I'm very blessed for that, because he easily could have just let me go in my ways, right?
Yeah, let's maybe travel down that road a little bit. What do you think? Do you ever envision your life if God just kind of let you?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be here.
Me neither. I genuinely think that too.
Yeah. And so that's why, like I was saying, like I just was praying to God last night. And that was one of the things I said. I was like, I haven't said that I'm thankful for life. Like I've said it out loud, but like I haven't really prayed to him and been like, thanks. Like, thank you for saving me. I haven't really done that. And I did that last night, and I was just like, genuinely thank you, because I do have really bright days, and some days I just feel sad, right? And on the sad days, I find it easy to like be like, oh, why me? Like, why am I still here? But then on the good days, I'm like, dang, dude, like I'm really here. You feel me? Like, so, I totally would not be here. And yeah, it's just like super odd, because I bet you I met someone, at the Apple store that I used to go to Armstrong with, I used to like smoke with and stuff. I wasn't really cool with him, but anyways, they came in, and the whole store was like reeking, bro. It wasn't him, it was his cousin apparently. But I shook his hand. I was just talking to him, and he had actually gotten shot. And I was like, dang, dude. Like, and he was like, yeah, I'm blessed to be here. And I was like, yeah, I told him a little bit of what happened, and he was like, yeah, you're here for a reason too. And then I was just like, bro, like be a leader, bro. Like don't be a follower. And then we just went down that road, and that's making a choice. Like, are you going to lead? Like, if you've been given a second chance or whatnot, like, are you going to go back to the same dirt, the same mud pile that you're rolling in? Or are you going to get out and allow God to shape your life in another way? That's that choice. And like right now I'm like choosing life, and I hope I continue to do so. But sometimes I think that people don't get, I don't want to say they don't get that choice. You have choices, but I just feel like some people don't get as many opportunities.
Definitely.
And like, then you can get like, well, is that fair? Well, like life isn't fair. It's not. Fair. And it's easy for me to say that because I've been given opportunities, but like, I do feel bad sometimes thinking like some people are just really like, I don't know, maybe God doesn't have favor on them. Is that depressing? Jacob, I loved. Esau, I hated.
Yeah, but like, I would say it's favor the fact that we're even here.
Yeah.
There's, like they talk about common grace and what's the other one?
Oh, you're right.
What's the other one? Common grace and
I don't know what the other one is, like, but you're right. I guess everybody does have grace of some sort. Otherwise, you just get struck by lightning every day or something, Yeah,
we'd be in hell, bro.
Yeah, like, you're right.
That's what, you can get into that kind of cynical, like, oh, like they didn't get the chances that I got. Yeah. But it's like, bro, we all have the most interesting, the biggest chance ever. Yeah. Even if it's like you only get 14 years to live. Yeah. Like whatever it is, we're all here and we all, like, the skies declare the glory of God, everyone can see it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we're even walking around is common grace. You're right. So it's just like, I get in the mindset of like, you made your bed, lie in it kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean. It can be hard though. I mean,
I hear that. No, that's real. Yeah. That's true.
But I think just being human, you have that heart of like, that doesn't seem just. Yeah. But then you hear that, God is a perfectly just God. Yep. No matter how we see it or not. And yeah, it's hard though. It's hard to conceptualize, It kind of goes back to like, why do bad things happen to good people type thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no such thing as a good person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And another thing to that, I just felt it leave my head. Where did they go? Oh, does God make choices for you? Like, does he ever force himself on you?
Force himself on you? No. But this keep going back to this, but it just goes back to the sovereignty of God. Yeah. He knows
he's going to get his. Yeah. For real. He's coming to collect,
And, I literally had the verse right here. Let me, give me a minute here. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. So it's like, before everything, it's already written out. Yep. You know what I mean? We're just walking in the path. And even if like the seems like you're like God isn't doing anything, like you're still under his will, whatever that looks like. So yeah, I just think that like, it's so hard to conceptualize God's sovereignty. I feel like we get into this conversation a lot, but it's just like, life is life. You have one life. You have choices. We have free will. He's given us that. So it's like, it's up to us. It really is up to us. I mean, it's subject to him, but it's up to us. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. You got anything else you want to talk about? We are all more similar than we think. That's another one.
For sure. Or we'd like to think. I think is another way we could phrase it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's... I don't know. I think... like you can even read like Instagram comments on a funny video if you have any sense of humor, and like you can be like, dang, you saw the same thing I did. And then you see like 1,000 like likes on it or whatever, because people are thinking the same thing, but like there was just one person who said it. Yep. So I think there's a stigma of like, I don't want to say this because people might think I'm weird, like other people don't go through this or like whatever, but then like someone comes out and is outspoken about it and you're like, dang, I'm not alone. Yeah. So we'd like to think that we are special.
Or have you seen those TikToks or videos, whatever, of people like doing the things we used to do as kids.
Yeah, just relatable. I mean, like,
It's like we
dang.
all did those
Yes,
things.
bro.
Like, what was the one of them that I was thinking? It was like trying to turn the light switch, like, and put the light switch in the middle.
Yep.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And
It's like random stuff like that. Like we all did.
Yeah.
Or like the remote. You know, you go around the buttons. You ever do that?
Like, what do you mean? Just like,
You know how the old remotes, they'd have like kind of bigger buttons, you know, and you try to like, I would like put my fingers like through the buttons and like make a path.
Oh, I still do that. Yeah, I just draw. Yeah,
and it's just like things that we like. I thought I was just like, dang, I must be so weird, but everybody does those things. You know what I mean?
I'm saying.
Anyway, so yeah, when I was talking to my friend, just about depression and everything, and like, yeah. They say people are deficient in serotonin, but one, they haven't proven that. It's never been scientifically proven. You can't actually go in and see how much serotonin you have, but that's a whole nother conversation. I think that everyone struggles with depression and the will to live. And yeah, it's to different extents for some people, but like, I really do believe that everyone struggles with it. It just looks different. And
you cope differently.
Yeah, and we cope differently, and we've been through different experiences. I think that's what makes us different. You know, maybe we're all the same, made in the image of God, and like we're all human beings and all those kinds of things. But it's experiences that set us apart from each other, and make us into who we are. So yeah, I don't know. I was just telling her, like, we all struggle. It just looks different for different people. It manifests different. And at the end of the day, it's all spiritual warfare behind that. Yep. So we're all going through that, and it's just like everything like comes together, like it all works together, and we're all like human beings. So I think just having the stigma of like, I'm so different, I'm so alone, and those things, you got to realize that you're really not. And that's where community comes in, which is another topic that we've already had. But yeah, I don't know, I really do think that we're all way more similar than we like to think, but we're all also so unique. You know, it's kind of both.
Different in our own ways, right?
So yeah. Anyway,
you about to make me yawn. I've been yawning, bro.
That was random. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of all I got today.
Yeah,
we wanted to keep it nice, short, and sweet. Probably do a longer one next week with Mr. Man
with ice.
With ice. So yeah, if you tuned in, thank you. Do you have any closing statements you want to throw in there?
Nah, just walk in trust, and have a blessed rest of your week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Take a look up at the sky and outside. Why? Might as well.